From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It is 5 o'clock here on your Thursday. Good morning to you. I'm Nicole Griffin.
Nicole, good morning. I'm Rafael Sanchez, and here are your headlines on this Thursday, September the 10th. $300 of additional unemployment benefits set to begin later this month for Hoosiers. But there are concerns this morning that not everyone will get the money. So working for you, what the Department of Workforce Development says it is doing to make sure the funds don't run out.
A Fortville woman is going above and beyond to help pet owners in her community. What she is doing to keep families and their beloved pets together despite financial hardships.
And this is a serious day, Nicole. This is World Suicide Prevention Day. This morning, one man is talking about how overcoming his darkest hour and his hope to help others struggling with their mental health.
Welcome in here to Good Morning Indiana and happy Thursday. Rafael, did you get outside yesterday? Because Todd warned us it was going to be beautiful, but man, was it hot.
It was absolutely beautiful. I did manage to get outside in the afternoon, and as he's always so accurate, it was super hot in the afternoon. But Todd, this morning, you're keeping a close eye on the fog that is north of Indianapolis and west of the city.
Yeah, you know, northern locations have had a rough week. They've had the dense fog 2 days now. They've had the rain. Southern locations, you've hardly had any rain, and the visibility is not as bad to the south. And these are starting to fill in a little bit. And what I mean by filling in is visibilities are dropping in additional communities here now this morning. And you notice, as Rafael mentioned, to the north and to the west, that's where the visibilities are the worst. 0.2 of a mile in Crawfordsville, 0.7 in Cloverdale, to the north, 0.7 in Kokomo, even Muncie, though, down to about 0.2 of a mile visibility, and it's just dropped now at the airport in Indianapolis. And I showed you this image twice now, and the first time you could see off to the distance. I just showed it to you maybe 15 minutes ago, and you can see now, I'm showing it to you now, the visibility is getting worse here in downtown Indianapolis, and so give yourself some extra time. There's a dense fog advisory that's out there for many counties. Temperatures this morning are in the 60s. As far as rainfall goes, that should stay off to our west here throughout the day today. So once we get rid of this fog this morning, we're just essentially dealing with partly cloudy skies throughout the day today and high temperatures that'll be very seasonable, topping off right around 80 degrees. Nicole?
Todd, thank you. This is a live look at traffic this morning. I-70 at Sherman Drive on the east side of Indy, where you can see traffic seems to be moving just fine at this hour. We have no delays or crashes to report on the interstate right now, but we will continue to monitor your morning commute and keep you updated. There is good news for unemployed Hoosiers this morning. An extra $300 in unemployment payments will start going out on September 21st. The Department of Workforce Development Commissioner answered questions about the money during its weekly news conference on the pandemic. Because of the way the federal funding is structured, it's possible that it could run out before everyone who is eligible gets a payment.
We've been working with FEMA and the Department of Labor to try to address this issue. We're making sure that we try to get as many claimants paid and updated as possible, and we're going to try to address that issue as it arises. I can't give you a definite answer on that right now, other than our goal is to ensure that every Hoosier who's eligible will receive the $300 benefit.
The department is still working on the infrastructure to make those payments. Progress could be made on a new stimulus bill today. The Senate is expected to vote in a procedural motion to advance the Republican bill.
And Nicole, as John Lawrence reports, this bill may not get very far, as Democratic leaders, they're voicing their opposition.
Last month, talks about a stimulus bill to boost the U.S.'s COVID-19 stricken economy collapsed due to partisanship. Not much has changed since then.
We've just been waiting and waiting for our Republican friends to get their act together.
It's just silly season on the Democratic side. They've run out of excuses not to legislate.
The so-called skinny bill from Senate Republicans calls for $300 a week in enhanced jobless benefits, extends the Paycheck Protection Program, and provides $105 billion in education funds. The near $500 billion bill does not include stimulus checks or additional state aid.
Do you want to do something? Something? Or do you want to do nothing?
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer have been calling for a $2.2 trillion stimulus plan, but that was rejected by the White House.
Leader McConnell isn't searching for bipartisan progress. He seems to be looking for political cover.
While this battle rages on in Washington, D.C., many Americans are hoping for some sort of compromise.
It's a political football game, and they're playing with people's lives. All right. And it's wrong. Whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're an independent, they have to get something done.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Since the pandemic, many Hoosier families have been struggling financially, not only to take care of themselves, but also their pets. This morning, WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us with how one woman in Fortville is working to help people and pets out. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Raphael. So it all started with a Facebook post saying, is anyone in need of pet food because of this pandemic? And now a Fortville woman is not only feeding animals and helping to get them fixed here in Fortville, but in neighboring towns too. Kelly Donnelly has a heart for animals, and during the COVID-19 crisis, she heard stories of many families struggling to feed themselves and their pets. Some even contemplating surrendering their animals to shelters or new owners. She says she wanted to do what she could to help families stay together and be there to support anyone who needs it.
They don't have to tell me their story. They don't have to tell me why they're asking for food. But if they contact me and they want to talk, I'm absolutely here to talk. And it's unbelievable, some of the things these folks go through. And I feel like listening and sitting down and being there for them, that does probably and hopefully make a difference.
When she put the call out on Facebook asking people if they needed help, Donnelly tells me more people reached out saying they wanted to help too. Now she has tons of pet food ready for anyone who needs it. Now, if you are in need of that pet food or even medical services for your animals, such as getting them fixed, spayed and neutered, Donnelly wants to help you, so you can reach out to her. We've got her information linked up over on our news app, so just head over to the WRTV news app or WRTV.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. Today marks a day of awareness as this is World Suicide Prevention Day. According to the World Health Organization, close to 800,000 people in the world die from suicide every year. We talked to one Indianapolis man, Marcus Watts, who now speaks to others about his darkest days to bring awareness. He struggled with his mental health after the deaths of some of his friends and alcohol addiction. He wants people to know it's important to seek help and that you are not alone.
If you feel like you're alone and in your mind it's just repeating that, it's telling you that, like, nobody, you don't need to reach out to anyone because they're not going to understand you. Your parents won't understand. Your friends won't understand. That feeling of being alone, it's a lie.
This morning, our media partners at Radio 1 will stop the music on 5 Indianapolis radio stations starting at 10 a.m. to observe World Suicide Prevention Day. During that time, Watts and several others will help highlight mental health issues. You can listen on the stations listed right here. And our Rebound Indiana initiative has been sharing with you mental health resources and tips since the pandemic began. Anyone in the state can dial 211 to access help, and you can find links to organizations like the Bowen Center right now at WRTV.com/rebound.
It is our daily commitment. Hiring Hoosiers continues to highlight jobs and training programs in real time. And one program is set on helping more people become pilots. The Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals is looking to help more young people turn their dreams into careers in aviation. Ryan Lynch, he's a pilot, and he says they have shortages in the industry, especially with traffic control towers, pilots, and mechanics. He and others are using their stories and success to show youth the possibilities the field has to offer.
My journey started, I was 16, so almost 30 now, so I've been doing it for a while. Got my license when I was 18. I was still in high school, so I quit basketball to become a pilot. I figured out this is what I want to do.
I've always wanted to be a pilot. When I was 5 years old, I took my first flight to Disney when I went down to Orlando, Florida. And I went into the airplane and I said, wow, I heard a bunch of bells and whistles. And I said, I want to look up front. And that's what I actually want to do.
Taking flight there. You can find more details on aviation opportunities, of course, on this story at WRTV.com.
Another job opportunity is coming to Greenwood. A company that makes tools says it will build a new tool service hub there. Milwaukee Tools says it is leasing a 150,000 square foot building on South Tech Drive. The building will feature tool repair and warehousing space. The company says it expects to hire more than 450 people at the Greenwood facility over the next 5 years. The new hub is planned to be finished by March of next year. Todd.
All right, we'll highlight our main issue here this morning, Nicole, and that is the visibility issues that we have here across central Indiana. We'll go into some of your hometowns here this morning. Muncie, 0.2 of a mile visibility, so some dense fog there. It's not as bad as you work your way towards Greenfield with over 5 miles visibility, but a lot of visibilities to the north here below 1 mile from Kokomo to Crawfordsville to 0.4 of a mile in Zionsville. And these visibilities have been decreasing now through Marion County. So this fog has been advancing off towards the east, down to 0.2 of a mile in Indy, over 1 mile there in Martinsville. So as you get on the roadways, just slow down, use those low beams, be mindful of the kids heading off to the bus stop here in some of these communities where we have visibility issues. Temperatures this morning in the 60s, heading home, no issues at all. At that point, partly cloudy skies today and high temperatures right around 80 degrees.
Todd, thank you. Amazon is getting more reports that it is price gouging customers on certain products like Clorox wipes. What experts recommend you do to make sure you aren't paying too much.
And have you seen this? The bright orange smoky skies across California as dozens of wildfires, they continue to burn in that state. What we know about this latest deadly blaze spreading now near San Francisco. That and much more coming up on this Thursday, right here on Good Morning Indiana. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Price gouging continues to be a problem for shoppers on Amazon as many more of you continue to shop online because of the pandemic. So consider this. The U.S. Public Interest Research Group found a wide range of products can cost 2 to 14 times more. For example, disinfecting wipes alone cost nearly $40 on Amazon in some cases, compared to about $5 at other stores.
People are really struggling right now, and the last thing that they need to worry about is going to the store or going online and finding the products that they really need to keep themselves safe at ridiculous prices.
Experts suggest making sure you know the average price and then shop around. Now, early on in the pandemic, Amazon removed thousands of listings and third-party sellers from its website for suspected price gouging. In August, Amazon said it was working to maintain its fair pricing policy while taking into account reasonable increases.
One of the largest cities in the country will not have trick-or-treating this Halloween. Public health officials in Los Angeles have banned the tradition due to the pandemic. They say social distancing will be too difficult to maintain on porches at front doors. Trunk-or-treat events from cars and parties with non-household members are also banned. LA has prohibited all carnivals and haunted house attractions, but events where people remain in their cars are still allowed. The death toll is rising from the historic wildfires raging on the West Coast. The governor says this could be the greatest loss of life and property from wildfires in the state's history.
Nicole, the images are simply heartbreaking. One fire carved a 25-mile path of destruction. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest.
This morning, high winds and high heat fueling nearly 200 major fires on the West Coast. Some of them wiping out entire neighborhoods. New video near Portland, Oregon, showing rows of homes destroyed. These satellite images showing towns before and then after the fire.
This is insane.
Oh, you can feel it.
Oh my God, people, go.
Oregon's governor saying at least 35 large fires are burning across the state, warning the damages could be catastrophic.
This could be the greatest loss of human lives and property due to wildfire in our state's history.
Overnight, a 12-year-old boy and his grandmother identified as two of those victims from a wildfire south of Portland. The two disappeared early Tuesday after getting separated from their family as flames forced them to evacuate. The boy's father spoke to reporters earlier in the day when rescuers were still searching for them.
My family means everything to me.
And now, tragedy in Washington, where a 1-year-old has died near Spokane. Firefighters finding the family's severely burned truck near their home. The child's parents left in critical condition. In California, nearly 14,000 firefighters called to the front lines, fighting dozens of major wildfires. In the Bay Area, an apocalyptic orange-tinged sky. San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge barely visible in this picture, taken in the middle of the day. And now, hundreds of thousands of families facing the task of rebuilding their lives.
The house ain't even recognizable. It's just not, there's nothing. I'm so surprised that the people was able to get out of here alive, looking at what there is. It's hard to believe.
Kenneth Moten, ABC News, New York.
Just absolutely devastating pictures there coming out of the west, from Washington to Oregon to California. Hopefully the weather will start to turn and help them out just a little bit. Closer to home, I've been watching this dense fog settle in. This is the top of the One America building, and you can see it is just barely visible as this bank of fog has really just started to settle into downtown Indianapolis. It wasn't this bad 30 minutes ago, so it just shows you how visibilities can change quite quickly throughout the course of just 10 to 15 minutes, and that's why I always emphasize when you're on the highways, higher rates of speed, these visibilities will change very quick, so that's why you need to slow your speed down. One area could be just fine. Take, for instance, you're coming in from Greenfield, where the visibility is not that bad, into downtown Indianapolis, then all of a sudden you get to 0.2 of a mile visibility. So just slow down if you see that fog starting to thicken. To the north, visibility is down below 1 mile. In many locations, a little better to the south, and then off towards the east. But as I mentioned, this fog has been advancing to the east, so it's not out of the question that we could see those visibilities start to drop in other areas. Dense fog advisory for all the counties you see shaded in gray. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service adds a few more to this as the visibilities drop. As of right now, Marion County not under this dense fog advisory. And this fog will burn off fairly quickly here this morning once the sun comes up. And that's why those fog advisories expire at 8 and 9 o'clock, depending which county you are in. 63 in Bloomington right now, 68 in Indianapolis. Big temperature spread. That cooler air still just off to our west. That's where it stays, though. That does not advance here into central Indiana. So as we work our way throughout the next couple hours this morning, as the sun starts to come up, temperatures will be in the 60s. By the time we get to about 9, 10 o'clock, that's when we should get up to right around 70 degrees. As far as the rain, same storm track as yesterday, with the rain moving to the north and then to the east, just north of Chicago there. So that leaves us dry throughout the day today with a decrease in clouds. I will point out, though, if you do live in northern locations, once again today you're going to see a little more in the way of cloud cover compared to other locales, but you should stay dry throughout the day today with a high temperature, very seasonable, 82 degrees. Then as we work our way throughout the overnight hours, temperatures drop down to about 62 as you start your day tomorrow. And then as we look ahead to your weekend, 77 tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, into the 80s for Saturday and Sunday. Could be some storms late in the day on Saturday, but I don't think they impact your daytime plans. That's the good news. And then some of those storms continue into early Sunday morning, but most of Sunday should be dry, and then a great stretch of weather next week with temperatures in the 70s and 80s. But boy, take a look at that fog, Nicole.
Yeah, you can see the fog right here in this INDOT traffic camera, Todd. This is I-70 at Rural and Keystone Avenue, and you can see that fog has rolled in this morning. No crashes or delays to report, but we showed you traffic cameras not too long ago during Good Morning Indiana, and it did not look this way. So just give yourself some extra time this morning as you're heading out the door. Raphael.
And of course, we will keep on top of these changing conditions here in central Indiana. Nicole, thank you so much for that. Todd, thank you as well for keeping an eye on that radar. The Kansas City Chiefs will kick off their season tonight with some visible statements on the field. The words "End Racism" will be printed in one end zone at Arrowhead Stadium. Now, at the opposite end, the end zone will read, "It takes all of us." The messages come after a long summer of Black Lives Matter protests and calls to end police brutality. All 32 NFL teams are participating in the effort to support social justice this season. By the way, the Chiefs will play the Houston Texans tonight at 8:20 this evening.
Big news in the world of racing this morning. Legendary NASCAR driver Jimmie Johnson is making a move to NASCAR. Johnson is retiring from NASCAR full-time at the end of the season and plans to transition to IndyCar with Chip Ganassi Racing. This is video of Johnson testing in an IndyCar at IMS in July. The 7-time NASCAR champion is working to finalize sponsorship on a 2-year program with Ganassi. He would run IndyCar's road and street courses. No word yet on any plans to run in the Indy 500. An IMPD officer is helping Indianapolis kids get active after the break. How he is sharing his love for biking this fall. Stay with us.
So dozens of kids will have new bikes thanks to an IMPD officer. So Officer Zane Hennig's own love for riding a bicycle as a kid inspired him to really start a fundraiser. IMPD says he raised around $8,000. So far, 15 bikes have been purchased and will be given to kids in the area.
I think it's important that, the community understands, officers care. And, they go out to these runs, they notice that, there are families in need, and they try and fill that need. So I think that's important.
Helmets for the kids to help them ride safely when they're out and about in the neighborhood. And Todd Clausen, if you're out and about this morning, you will need those low beam lights. It is foggy in central Indiana.
Yeah, and the fog continues to become more widespread here, Raphael, as we progress throughout the morning and as kids head out to the bus stop and you head off to work. You definitely need to give yourself some extra time. You may be asking me what this picture is. Well, that little bright spot you see on the right-hand side of your screen, those are the lights on top of the One America building. So you could see how that fog is continuing to settle into central Indiana. It's a pretty thin layer of fog, but it's pretty dense all across the area, and that's why we do have dense fog advisories this morning in parts of the area. Visibility down to 0 now in the Muncie area, a 1/10 of a mile in Indianapolis. We'll talk more about this fog and the rest of your day coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
This morning, let's talk about you, your commute, and schools. This is the fog that, of course, has now moved into central Indiana. A live look from our tower cam. This is the One America building. Your TV is fine. You can see a blinking light there. The One America building is one of the tallest buildings in our city. 15 minutes ago, you could actually see the building. Nicole, now that building is gone. At this point, a lot of fog is moving in. Good news also to report this morning, at least for school children. Those school buses for now are running on time. We'll keep an eye on that throughout Good Morning Indiana. It is Thursday, September the 10th. Good morning and welcome. It's going to be a busy day here in Indianapolis and throughout central Indiana. Nicole?
Yeah, Raphael, when we came on the air at 4:30, it did not look like this at all. Meteorologist Todd Clausen warned us about the fog coming in. And Todd, that shot behind you, wow.
Yeah, at 4:30, it was just in some northern locations, and downtown Indianapolis looked just fine. And as Raphael mentioned, yeah, the blinking light there is the top of the One America building. So this is looking off to the west from downtown, and you can obviously see the cloud deck and fog. That's just a cloud on the ground. And then to the north, skies are clear. So eventually we'll burn this off, but not until the sun comes up. So until then, you'll have to use caution out here on the roadways. Here are your visibilities, which I know just looks like a lot of numbers, but I always tell you half a mile or less, that's the number you have to kind of look for driving issues. Muncie, no visibility, only a 1/10 of a mile right now in Indianapolis, 4/10 in Crawfordsville. So this impacts I-70, 4 from Indy all the way to the state line, I-70 to Terre Haute from Indianapolis. Fog not quite as thick for those of you here in eastern location, Shelbyville over to Greenfield into the Newcastle area, but the fog is advancing off towards the east. Here are your dense fog advisories, or the counties that are included in this fog at least. I wouldn't be shocked maybe the Weather Service adds a few more to this, but either way, obviously, if you encounter some of these reduced visibilities, slow down on the roadways, give yourself some extra time. This fog burns off pretty quick this morning, turns into a nice day. We'll talk about that forecast for you coming up in just a little bit, Nicole.
Todd, thank you. Here's a live look outside this morning. One of our INDOT traffic cameras. This is I-65 at West Street and MLK, where you can see the fog once again here in this shot. So far at this hour, we are not monitoring any crashes or delays, but you may want to give yourself just a few extra minutes as you head out the door this morning. New this morning, the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department presented its 2021 budget to members of the City County Council's Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee just last night.
So, Nicole, let's talk money. The department is asking for a $7.7 million increase in funding. And here's a breakdown of how that money will be spent if the department gets those dollars. $2.7 million would be used for body cams, leases, and legal settlements. About $1.1 million would be used for vehicles and equipment. And the largest portion, $3.3 million, would cover personnel costs, including the full funding of 1,743 officers. IMPD Deputy Chief Valerie Cunningham says the recruiting of new officers is vital to improving racial equity within the department.
The classes that we're recruiting, the diversity within those classes, the younger officers, the diversity of thought that goes along with it is your reform of this profession. Without the opportunity to aggressively recruit with a commitment that we are going to hire, that we are going to continue to bring new people onto this agency and onto this police department, that is where we can, that is the biggest impact for looking at racial equity.
Several community members spoke out against the proposal, saying it does not address the actual concerns of the community.
The number one claim for equity in your budget is diversity in recruitment. You did not, however, list any concrete metrics for that recruitment in minority communities or with women. And we say, like the councilman said, the hope is a lot, which is not measurable or enforceable.
Just this year, IMPD murdered 3 people in just 8 hours. Seeing a budget that has an increase of over $7 million does not reflect the need for changed behavior. It just increases gear, technology, and surveillance for the community, which is not what the community is asking for.
So what's next? The committee will vote to approve the budget in October. After that, it will go to the full council. Nicole?
Now to the coronavirus pandemic and its toll on the Hoosier State. The Indiana State Department of Health reports 720 additional cases of COVID-19. So far, 101,485 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. The state also confirmed 17 additional deaths. 3,173 people in Indiana have died with COVID-19 since March. 1,158,018 Hoosiers have been tested for the coronavirus. 8.8% of them tested positive for COVID-19. Data from the State Department of Health also shows that 43% of Indiana's ICU beds are available. COVID-19 patients are using about 10% of the ICU beds. Non-COVID-19 patients are using around 47% of the beds. About 82% of the state's ventilators are also available.
The state is now one step closer to having a comprehensive dashboard to track COVID-19 cases in our schools throughout Indiana. State Health Commissioner Christina Box says that officials are testing an electronic reporting system right now. She says when complete, that dashboard will show not only districts which have positive cases of COVID-19, but you'll be able to track them down to the specific school. No identities or specific ages will be available for privacy concerns. The goal is to help local school leaders make the best decisions for their community when it comes to e-learning.
We've been asked to provide this information. We've heard it from parents, we've heard it from schools, and we've heard it from other stakeholders, all asking for the information to be public. The purpose is to help all of us make the best decisions possible as we navigate this pandemic.
Dr. Box also says reporting this information will not be a mandate for schools. Instead, she's calling it a strong request. If schools don't comply, the state may look at making it a requirement.
Dr. Box also answered questions about COVID-19 vaccines. She says experts at every level are committed to making sure vaccines are safe before they are introduced to the public.
I know there's a lot of talk out there about the vaccine already, and unfortunately a lot of coming down both sides of the aisle as to whether this is going to come out and be rushed out and not be safe. I want you to know that the pharmaceutical companies that are engaged in producing these vaccines are committed to not rolling out a vaccine until they have fully vetted that vaccine, and that the FDA is also committed to making sure that we stick very closely, as are these pharmaceutical companies, to the highest standards for ethics and the highest standards for scientific principles in developing these vaccines.
Tuesday, AstraZeneca announced its vaccine trials are on hold. The drug company says a volunteer in Britain suffered a serious side effect. The company also says the pause is a standard precaution. The IU School of Medicine was chosen as a testing site for those trials.
More COVID-19 testing sites are set to open across our state. The first 36 by the end of the week. The State Department of Health is partnering with local health officials and departments with an overall goal to add nearly 100 community testing sites. The state says it's investing more than $30 million to increase access to COVID-19 testing over the next 2 years. Around 60 other locations are scheduled to be opened by October the 1st. Let's talk about people, because many Hoosiers, as you know, they're struggling financially, not only to take care of themselves, Nicole, but also their pets.
This morning, WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us live from Fortville with the efforts happening there to make sure pets can stay with their owners. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So for many families, they didn't know where their next meal would come from, let alone their animal's next meal. And thanks to the power of social media and a Fortville woman, they are keeping families together.
Are we going to feed us or are we going to feed the animals?
Shar Salverson has been out of work since March. She has several pets, and at one point, her family had to contemplate giving them away.
These animals have been a part of our lives for years, and they're like family members. It's not like they're just some inanimate object, it's not like something you just take and drop off at Goodwill when you're done with it. It's a lifelong commitment.
But things changed when a stranger posted in the Fortville Happenings Facebook group asking if anyone needed help feeding their animals.
It was like, okay, God, you really do listen to prayers, because I had been just praying so much about how are we going to make this work? Give us an answer, help us through this, and boom, there was this post.
Do you know what you normally feed?
Kelly Donnelly is the author of that post, and since posting, has accidentally started a pet food pantry from her garage.
It's gotten bigger than I expected it to. So not only are we running it out of the garage, but we've been able to set up like Amazon wish lists or Chewy orders.
Donnelly tells me no matter what the need is, her and her network of rescuers can help.
The ultimate goal is that we can keep, loving pet owners with their pets even during, this crazy pandemic when folks are, many of which financially struggling.
As for Salverson, she says Donnelly saved her family.
My situation was I could afford my animals. COVID came, I lost my job. I can't afford my animals. I can't really afford much of anything, but those are my children. And those are important parts of remaining mentally healthy during all of this. And to lose that for some people really could be life-altering.
Now, if you are someone who needs help feeding your animals or with a medical procedure such as spay and neuter, Donnelly wants to help you, Fortville or not. We've got her information linked for you over on the WRTV News app. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. You could see behind Kelsey there the visibility starting to reduce where she is in Fortville. You get a little north or west of Fortville, and that's where the visibilities are the lowest here this morning. And it's all these counties to the north that we have the dense fog advisory that's in place. Half-mile visibility in Frankfort, just under a mile in Kokomo, 2/10 of a mile right now in the Muncie area. You notice this little pocket here from Fishers to Greenfield up into the Pendleton area. Visibility not too much of an issue. Then you get to the airport in Indianapolis, 2/10 of a mile, and then down to the south, it's not as bad. So just as you get out and you start driving here across central Indiana this morning, watch out for the kids at the bus stop. To work, a temperature of 67 degrees. This fog should burn off pretty quickly this morning. As soon as the sun comes up, once that happens, it turns into a really nice day for us with partly to mostly sunny skies and high temperatures. Nicole, right around 80 degrees. Raphael.
Todd, thank you. The president on defense as new recordings reveal he publicly downplayed the threat of the virus. What he's now saying about the comments he made earlier this year.
We are monitoring the dense fog that has rolled in across central Indiana this morning. Here's a live look at our traffic camera at I-465 at Michigan Road, where you can see the fog in the air. It is not causing any traffic problems so far, but we will keep you updated all throughout the morning. It's 5:43. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on WRTV. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. We are monitoring the fog that has rolled in this morning. Here is a live look toward downtown Indianapolis this morning from our photographer Eldon Wheeler. The fog is thick and has moved in over the past half hour or so. We will check back in with meteorologist Todd Clausen, so stick with us here on Good Morning Indiana. This morning, the president is defending himself after admitting on tape he downplayed the deadly threat of the coronavirus publicly.
And so, Nicole, the audio recordings were part of 18 interviews that the president had with legendary journalist Bob Woodward for his new book called Rage. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest from Washington.
On camera, on Fox, and on Twitter, President Donald Trump still on the defense after admitting on tape that he downplayed the coronavirus, which has killed nearly 190,000 Americans.
I'm the leader of the country. I can't be jumping up and down and scaring people. I don't want to scare people. I want people not to panic. And that's exactly what I did.
The newly released audio recordings are part of 18 on-the-record interviews famed journalist Bob Woodward did with the president for his upcoming book, Rage. Excerpts of the recording obtained by CNN reveal the president understood the deadly threat posed by the coronavirus as far back as February, before the first U.S. death from the virus, but still downplayed the severity to the American people.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
That was the president on February 7th. Just 3 weeks later, Trump contradicting himself in public.
This is a flu. This is like a flu. Within a couple of days, it's going to be down to close to zero.
And then in March, a stunning admission to Woodward. The president saying this in another recorded interview.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
As the fallout continues, the president on Twitter now calling Woodward's book a political hit job. On the campaign trail, Joe Biden calling the president's actions totally irresponsible.
He knew how dangerous it was. And while this deadly disease ripped through our nation, he failed to do his job on purpose. It was a life and death betrayal of the American people.
And when ABC News asked if Trump should be blamed for the thousands of deaths from the virus, Biden responded,
"Yes, I do. I absolutely do."
And Trump says he gave Woodward access to the White House to, quote, give it a shot. The White House says that proves the president is transparent with nothing to hide. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Faith, thank you. 3 people have now died at the Bear Fire burning in Northern California. 12 others are missing as firefighters continue to battle the blaze. The Bear Fire is just one of several dangerous wildfires that have destroyed or damaged more than 200 structures in California. Several people were injured after being trapped by the Bear Fire during the overnight hours. Butte County first responders have had to rescue more than 100 people. With wind gusts, firefighters have had to battle a wall of fire that has jumped as high as 200 feet at times. The National Forest Service estimates the Bear Fire has consumed more than 97,000 acres in the past 24 hours. But here at home this morning, what you need to know about is the fog. Todd.
Yeah, dense fog has settled into a good chunk of central Indiana. Here's a live look outside right now on the east side of Indianapolis, I-70 and Sherman Drive. You can see the traffic is moving okay right now, but this is not one of the hardest hit areas with the dense fog. But what I want to point out is for the cars, especially heading towards downtown Indianapolis, it gets worse a lot quicker as you work your way over to the west side of town. So say you're in Greenfield right now, you're cruising along and doing 70 miles an hour on the interstate. All of a sudden, the visibility gets reduced a little bit here in eastern Marion County. Then you get to the western side of Marion County in downtown Indianapolis, and the visibility is even lower. So just give yourself some extra time if you encounter visibilities like this or you see them starting to decrease. The fog's even a little worse up in Muncie frequency, 0.2 of a mile, 0.4 in Crawfordsville, as well as 0.7 of a mile in the Cloverdale area. Downtown Indianapolis down to 0.2 of a mile visibility. This is the look from the top of the Salesforce Tower looking off towards the west, and you see this bright little light here. That is the top of the One America building, 613 feet to the tip of the One America building off the ground. So this fog bank is about 700 feet thick. It's a thin band of fog that's settled in, so we'll burn it off quickly once the sun comes up. But unfortunately, it's a very dense area of fog, and we're going to have to deal with it until the sun comes up. And this time of year, that's not until well after 7 o'clock here this morning. So we deal with this dense fog this morning. This afternoon's partly cloudy. This evening, it's very nice. So our only inclement weather is what's happening here across the area right now. Once the sun comes up, you can see the skies are partly cloudy, and we'll burn that fog off as we continue to watch this storm system off to our west. But the rain's not really advancing to the east all that quick. So throughout the day today, we're just dry. We're partly cloudy with just a little bit more in the way of cloud cover here across northern locations here throughout the afternoon hours. But all in all, it's a very seasonable day for us with temperatures that'll eventually be climbing up into the 70s in northern locations where the fog is a little thicker this morning, and you'll have more clouds throughout the afternoon, about 75 in Frankfurt. As you work your way south, more in the way of sunshine, and temperatures respond a little bit warmer, 82 in Indianapolis, and then high temperatures today, again, in southern locations are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. So it's going to be a warmer day the further south you go. Tomorrow, 77 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Saturday, there's the chance of some spotty storms in the forecast, but they're pretty late in the day and then into the overnight hours. So the daytime hours, both Saturday and Sunday, should be in pretty good shape. And then speaking in good shape, how about Monday and Tuesday? They look absolutely terrific. Nicole.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a live look this morning. We are monitoring your morning commute. This is I-70 at the South Split, where you can see some of that fog here in this area, but you can see traffic is still moving just fine. We will continue to keep you updated all morning long. Raphael.
So Nicole, Hiring Hoosiers, as you know, is committed daily to connecting you to available jobs in real time. And this morning, we're learning of thousands of new jobs coming right here to central Indiana. And so here are the details just for you. Amazon is looking to fill more than 800 full-time positions for a new operations facility in Greenfield. Representatives say that the jobs and careers with Amazon, they say, span a range of industries.
Those range from corporate technology jobs like solution architect, cloud support associate, to jobs supporting our logistics network, so HR specialists, workforce health and safety, on-site medical reps, and then area managers, which are great jobs for transitioning veterans and military spouses as well.
And so the details you need to know right now, you can apply for jobs at a virtual career fair. That's next Wednesday, September the 16th, and also take part in career coaching sessions. Nicole?
Kroger is also hiring Hoosiers. The company is holding another job fair next Wednesday. The grocery chain is hiring dozens of people to work at locations on the north side of Indianapolis, Westfield, Fishers, and Carmel. For more information and links to apply to these job opportunities that we mentioned and many more, just go over to hiringhoosiers.com. It's 5:54. Stay with us. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. If you're just joining us, you may want to leave for work a few minutes early, Raphael, because fog is an issue this morning.
So I just stepped outside. It's cool outside, but the big problem is not the cool temperatures. It's the fog, Todd Clausen.
Yeah, you know, this fog's really been expanding and become more dense throughout the course of the morning. When we started Good Morning Indiana at 4:30, the shot looked pretty good. You could see the city skyline. This is not a blank map behind me. This is the view from the Salesforce Tower off towards the west. You used to be able to see the One America Tower, and now it's gone. So the fog continues to get thicker in the sense that a fog is just a cloud on the ground, and so now it's expanding further. So that level of fog is now up to about 800 feet off the ground. So it's becoming more dense, it's becoming more widespread. So just give yourself some extra time. Here are the visibility numbers. Many locations below 1 mile. That's why the dense fog advisory is in place. We'll talk more about the advisory, this dense fog, and a look ahead to the rest of your day coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV. Stay with us. We'll be right back.